Hello, and welcome to Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where we just rewatched the original Candyman recently. And after watching it, we can't help but think that, it's a little bit dated these days, right? Like, if you want somebody to remember you, really all you need now is like a viral video, right? You just need a good influencer following. So he's going to some real extremes here. It just needs to be a good social media influencer, and then he's just not going to have to worry about any issues with being forgotten after that. All right, so today we are going to take a look at the DNC system, or the Do Not Call system. Essentially, this is a system that has to be activated by your company, and once it's activated by the company, they subscribe to the national Do Not Call list for whatever zip codes they choose, and then you have access to search that list. In addition to searching the national Do Not Call list for the specified numbers within the specified zip codes, you have the ability to add numbers to a company Do Not Call list. So if you were to call a customer and found out that they didn't want to get any further calls, you could add that to your company list so that if anybody else happens upon that customer or happens upon a situation where they would make a call to that customer, they'll be able to see that they're on that Do Not Call list so that they don't call them by accident when they don't want to receive calls. So if the system is activated by your company, by default, you'll find it under Other Resources, and there'll be a button here for Check Do Not Call. Now you can also search for it in your quick actions like anything else, and then company to company, all of these pages are customizable as well. So they could actually put the Do Not Call list check right on your home page or anywhere else that it makes sense. So keep that in mind. But by default, you'll be able to find it under Other Resources, or just go up here and type Do Not Call, or Do Not, and then Check Do Not Call list comes up, and then we can head over to the page. Now in any one of those cases, it doesn't really matter how we get there, it's going to take us to this same place. From here, you can see some basic information and basically what the rules look like as far as the Do Not Call system goes. So you can read through all the policies, procedures, things like that, and the idea is you're agreeing to these terms when you actually use the Do Not Call system. I will say that you will likely not see this bar up at the top because your company's federal Do Not Call subscription will be up to date, whereas ours in this test environment has expired. So, it is what it is. So now if I go down here and I agree to the terms, that takes me through to the Do Not Call interface. So from here, I can search numbers in bulk, so I can go over here and we'll just put some phone numbers in. And I'll put some random stuff in here too. There we go. So we just have a handful of numbers. So now when I click Check Numbers, it's going to check each one, and you can see it gives me information about each of the ones that it checked. So everyone that comes back is okay, and there's a little code definition down here to make it convenient. But all the ones that come back as okay are good to call. Any that come back as DNC CO means they're in the company Do Not Call list. So that's one that was manually added to the company Do Not Call list. And you can see it specifies down here with a little description. And we have another OK, and then we have an NA, which basically means we can't check this number. The reason we can't check this number is that it is in a zip code that our company is not subscribed to. So that is where that comes from. But the idea is if you can't verify that you're allowed to call that number, you shouldn't call that number. So that's what it says down here. Not okay to call the number because we couldn't check for that number. Now lastly, we don't see one in here, but if we had found one that matched against the actual federal Do Not Call list, it would have just shown DNC. So it would look just like this, except without the CO there at the end. But there you have it. So this allows you to quickly check those and just get a response for a set of numbers all at once. And then if you want to reset this, you can just click Reset. That resets the form, and then you can enter another number if you'd like. Now the next thing you can do is we can go over here and we can actually check all of the numbers in an exchange. I think it's an exchange, right? So if I were to say, for example, 330, and we'll do the 867 exchange. I think we have area code exchange and extension. I don't know a ton about phone numbers, but we'll say that that's the way this works. So if I want to check the entire 867 exchange in 330, I can put that information in, click Generate List. We'll give it a second here. Oh, there we go. It did generate my list. And after it generates your list, it just drops a link down here at the bottom that says click here to view your report. Now if I just click on this, it's going to open up in the same window I'm in. So we'll hold down, just held down my control key so that it opens in a new tab. Now if I open my new browser tab up, you can see below is the do not call list. It gives me 3 columns by default, but I could break this down if I wanted to display them differently. And it would be very different if I got a lot of numbers back. In this case, I only got these 3. So these are the 3 numbers that are on the do not call list that are within that exchange. So there you go. It's just an easy way that you can come up and check an entire exchange worth of numbers and get the do not call status of each one. So I opened this up in a new tab, so we're just going to close that tab out, go back to our original one here. Now the next thing we can do is we can report a violation to the do not call list. So basically if you accidentally made a call to a number that you later found was in that do not call list, the idea is you can put the number in here and then put in some comments about what happened, why you called it, and that allows you to report that violation. There's nothing really that comes of that on its own necessarily. It's just a matter of staying on top of things and letting everyone know if there are any issues that came up accidentally. But as far as the use of this system, it doesn't do anything else. It just verifies that you put a number in and tells you that it's been reported. Now the next piece we have here is we can add a number to the company do not call list. So this doesn't add it to the national do not call list. Any customer or anyone with a phone number in the United States can add themselves to the national do not call list if they want. But this would be if you call somebody up and they say they just don't want to get any more calls from you for whatever reason. You can come in here, you can put in their phone number. So we'll do another 330 number because that's what this is going to work with. We'll stick with our theme. So if I put this number in and I hit add phone number, it's going to give me a second. It verifies that it added it to the list. And now if this number is attached to any customer accounts in the DeltaNET, well, I guess first, if I search for that number here, I will find it. So actually I just added this one. If I put in that exchange again, generate a list, and view my report, you can see that number is now in this do not call list. It would show me the same thing if I searched for it in my number search. So if I close this back out, put my number back over here. In fact, we'll do the whole group of them. There we go. Whole bunch of numbers. We search those. You can see I just added this one. This one I had added earlier. And then this one is still good. So it just tells me really quickly and easily what numbers I can call and what numbers I can't call. All right, so we'll close that one out. Now the next piece we have here is the check do not call list from a file. So what this allows you to do is if you have a CSV that lists out a large amount of numbers, so if you want to check a bunch of numbers, so right now we just have 10, but let's say you wanted to check an entire customer list that you would accept, pulled out of a third-party system or some other dialer system, and you wanted to check that entire list to see if any of those numbers are in the do not call list. That's what this functionality is for. So what you do is you use these drop-downs for field mapping. You hit choose file and add your file, and then click check numbers, and then the system will run and check all those numbers and then feed you back a report. So the way this works is you're actually using these to map which columns go to what information. So name field 2 is looking for last name, name field 1 is looking for first name, and then number field is the number field. So let's say, for example, you have a CSV that has the last name in the first column, so column A, has the customer's first name in the second column, so that would be column B, and let's say there's a bunch of other information there, and it has their phone number, at least the phone number you want to check, in the 10th column, for example. So what I can do is I can go in here and I can say, okay, column A, or rather column B is going to be my first name, so we'll select column B there. Column A is my last name, so we'll select that. And then column J, the 10th column, is where my phone number is, so we'll check that as well. And this just gives me how my report comes out. So now I'll click on choose file. I'll select the file from my machine, and then once I've selected, I'll click check numbers. It'll pull the file in, check all those numbers against the do not call list, and then feed me back my report. So that is a nice way that if you are working through a third-party system or you have numbers in some kind of third-party dialer and you want to check them and they don't have a do not call system over there, this allows you to verify all that. So that is the do not call interface. Now the next thing this does is if a number is in either the national do not call list or it's in the company do not call list, it's automatically going to update the customer profile page in the DeltaNET for any customer that does not, or that has that number entered, so has a do not call list number entered for themselves. So to get to a customer profile page, I would just go to one of 100 different ways to get there. So I can just click on CRM. I can go down and find a customer name in my customer detailed list here, and I can click on them, and that'll take me through to their profile page. Now I have one open already here, and we'll just switch over to that one. So this is one that's open already, where I have added that the 330-867-5308 as the cell phone number for this customer. Because that is in the do not call list, the company do not call list in this case, you can see if we go down to cell phone, it says do not call. So instead of showing me the number and tempting me to call it, it just tells me that that number is in the do not call list, so I shouldn't call it. And really, aside from adding in the numbers to the do not call list, this really is going to be the way that you interact with this system the most. Basically, if it is turned on your customer profile page, if their number's on the list and you're not supposed to call it, it's going to show up in here and tell you that you're not supposed to call it. And in a scenario like this, what I would think I would probably do is send them an email. I'm assuming they haven't also opted out of email. I would send them an email and just verify, whether they want to receive phone calls or not. Now, the do not call list is primarily about, bulk calling, advertising type calling. So if you're actually in business working with a customer on a transaction, taking them to see homes, things like that, obviously you'll work out with them whether they want to receive calls from you or not, or however they want to receive their communications from you. But this is a nice convenient way that, if you're just going through your customer list and making phone calls, you can very quickly see that this is one you shouldn't call. So there you have it. So as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to email support@deltagroup.com or give us a call and we can walk you through this or help you out with anything else that you need. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you again next week.